All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack the psychology behind why certain people just stick in our minds forever. You know exactly what I mean, right? Today, we are completely decoding the anatomy of an unforgettable person. Have you ever wondered why someone just lingers in your memory long after they've actually left the room? Well, let's figure out exactly how that works.
Seriously, take a second right now to visualize a specific person. And I'm not necessarily talking about the most wildly successful person you know, or, the most conventionally attractive. Just think of someone who really stuck with you. It could be a teacher from decades ago, a total stranger you chatted with on a train, or maybe an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. Why them? What did they have that most people just don't? Here's the thing. We walk around with this massive misconception. We think memorability comes from being super impressive. We assume it's all about success or being the funniest person in the room or just looking great. Like, we have to constantly put on a performance to be remembered. But the reality? It's actually much quieter. It's way deeper. The people who genuinely stick in our minds aren't actively trying to be remembered at all. They just operate on a completely different level of human interaction. Section 1. The emotional fingerprint. Feeling, presence, and curiosity. So if we really want to understand human connection, we have to look at how our brains actually process memories. Maya Angelou totally hit the nail on the head when she said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And what's absolutely fascinating is that modern neuroscience literally backs this up. Our brains are hardwired to attach memories directly to strong emotions. You probably have no clue what you did on a random Tuesday afternoon 3 years ago, but I guarantee you remember the exact day someone looked you dead in the eyes and said, "I believe in you," right when you needed to hear it most. Okay, so how do we actually apply this in the real world? Instead of relying on these big, dramatic, cinematic moments, you can leave an emotional fingerprint just by being fiercely present. First off, put the phone down and give your complete, undivided attention. I mean, in today's highly distracted world, pure presence is practically a superpower. Second, listen to truly understand the other person, not just to reload and formulate your next response. And third, ask real questions. Skip the standard filler like, "So, what do you do?" and try asking something you're genuinely curious about, like what actually lights you up. The crucial takeaway here is the psychological trick happening under the hood. When someone truly, deeply listens to you, you naturally feel fantastic about yourself. And because of how our memory network functions, your brain links that warm, positive feeling directly back to the person who is listening to you. So you think you're remembering a really fantastic person, but essentially you're remembering someone who made you feel fantastic. Genuine curiosity is just an incredibly underrated yet immensely powerful social skill. Moving on to Section 2, the specifics, point of view, quirks, and signatures. Trying to blend in is actually the absolute fastest way to be forgotten. Think about those highly agreeable, sort of vague people you've met. They often leave zero impression because there's no friction, right? There's no distinct flavor to the interaction. But unforgettable people, they are highly specific. They have clear opinions. They aren't afraid to say, "Actually, I see it a bit differently," while still being respectful. They don't waste their energy trying to be everything to everyone. And that brings us to this really profound realization. The very things you might be super self-conscious about, maybe you have a really weird laugh or a highly niche obsession with vintage clocks, whatever it is, those aren't flaws you need to sand down just to fit in. They are the exact signatures that make you an original. People who try way too hard to be universally likable often end up meaning nothing to anyone. But the unapologetic original, yeah, they stick in your mind forever. Because consistency creates identity. Think about it for a second. Whether it's a specific phrase a person always uses, the way they passionately recommend a certain type of movie, or just a distinct way of dressing, these signatures anchor a person unmistakably in your memory. The second you hear that phrase or see that style, your brain immediately fires up and brings them directly to mind. So honestly, it's worth asking yourself right now, what's your signature? Section 3. Unspoken generosity. Giving without keeping score. Now we're talking about the micro interactions of everyday life that quietly lodge themselves deep into our memory banks. This type of generosity, it doesn't cost a single dime. It's all about unexpected, small acts of noticing that silently communicate, "Hey, you matter to me, and I was thinking about you." It's giving a highly specific compliment that clearly wasn't just polite filler. It's checking in on some tiny detail a friend casually mentioned like 3 months ago. Or it's simply shooting over a link at 11 p.m. because something in it reminded you of them. Giving freely without keeping a scoreboard lands so much harder than almost any grand, expensive gesture. Which brings us to Section 4, the real secret, the twist. Okay, let's just take a step back for a second and look at the whole picture. When we look at all these incredible social skills together, the presence, the curiosity, the generosity, and truly owning your quirks, we really have to ask, what actually unites them at their absolute core? What is the engine driving all of this? Well, here is the grand irony of it all. Being unforgettable has almost nothing to do with how impressive you are. Let that sink in for a minute. Literally none of the traits we just covered are about showing off your accomplishments, being the loudest voice in the room, or desperately proving your worth to everyone around you. The most unforgettable people in the world are simply the ones who make you feel unforgettable. Instead of walking into a room and asking, "How can I be more impressive?" they're asking, "How can I make others feel seen?" They make you feel heard, interesting, and worthy. And in response, your brain, with its beautiful built-in bias, immediately stamps their face right onto that incredible feeling. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought for today's explainer. Stop asking how you can become someone people can't forget. Actually, scratch that. Just flip the script entirely. Start by answering this. Who in your life haven't you made feel truly seen yet? Make it your personal mission to leave a positive emotional fingerprint on someone today, and just watch what happens. Thanks for hanging out and unpacking this with me.